Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm here with the third part of the Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Previously in the story, in the first part, we had the wedding ceremony, the old mariner narrating his story to one of the wedding guests, and then the story as it went. Like the mariner and the crew of the ship went southward to the equator, and then there was a storm, and the storm pushed them towards the South Pole, sorry. And then in the South Pole, there appeared a bird, an albatross. The albatross guided them through the mist and snow, and they could survive that cold weather. Uh, anyway, the mariner shot the albatross with his crossbow. In the second part, we had the results, or let's say the conclusions of what he did. The other crew at first thought that maybe he had done something good, but afterwards they felt that maybe it was the sign of a bad omen to kill a bird which was like a Christian soul. Anyway, now they knew that there was a spell uh, working on them, and they thought that maybe it is because of the spirit or a sea monster living in the South Pole, which love the albatross, and because now the mariner is the senior here, they put the albatross instead of his cross. So one Christian marker is replaced by another Christian marker, and the mariner is in the process of the sin. Then accepting of the sin and the redemption, like what the humankind did. First, Adam and Eve did the original sin, then they faced the results of the sin, and then Jesus Christ redeemed the whole mankind. Now we are going to see whether this redemption is happening or not in the course of the story. The third part is maybe, or at least I think, the most interesting part of this narrative poem. The climactic action happens here. Maybe the most important life-changing incident is part of this section. So let's see what is going on in part three. They're past the wear time. If you remember, the wind stopped. The ship did not move. The sky was copper. The depth of the sea was rotting, and because of the weather and because of the lack of the wind, now we have the mariner and the crew of the ship. There passed a weary time, each throat was parched and glazed each eye. A weary time, a weary time. The repetition of the word weary shows also the weariness of the situation. How glazed each weary eye, when looking westward, I beheld as something in the sky. So something is in the sky. Let's see what is happening. At first, it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. It moved and took at least a certain shape. I wist. Wist means to know. So now they can recognize the shape, what it is. There is a lot of suspense here, maybe. Speck missed the shape I wist, and still it neared and neared, as if it dodged the water sprite. It plunged and tacked and weird. It is a ship, and the ship's movements are not normal. As if it is escaping a water spirit. It moves here and there. It moves like zigzag. It plunged and tacked and veered. With throats unslacked, dry, with black lips baked, we could nor laugh nor wail. Wail means to cry or to show sadness. Through utter drought, all dumb we stood. I bent my arm, I sucked the blood, and I cried, a sail, a sail. So what they see is actually a sail, and the mariner, in order to be able to speak, has to bite his own flesh to drink something, and then he could speak. And you can see the blood here. And this is Gustave Doré's painting. This painting is a foreshadowing of what is going to happen in the story. The ship is not maybe a good sign or a good omen based on what we can see. It's a specter ship, it's like a ghost. It's not naturally moving like a ship. And don't forget that there is no wind. While there is no wind, the ship can move. At first, the mariners could not detect this issue, but when they think, they understand that things are not going to be right. With throats unslacked, with black lips baked, a gape. A gape means having a sense of wonder. They cannot believe what they see. A gape, they heard me call. Gramercy! They for joy did grin, and all at once their breath drew in as they were drinking all. So the first reaction of the mariners is positive. They think something is good going to happen, but when they think about the condition of the ship, they think maybe uh, something bad is going to happen. See, see, I cried. She tucks no more. Hither, to work is veil, and now they think it's harmful. The veil means danger, harm. It's dangerous. Why, without a breeze, without a tide, she steadies, with upright keel. A keel is this part, the front part of a ship, and while there is no breeze and no wind, the it can move actually. Like unlike the ship of the mariner, which cannot move, this ship can move. The western wave was all aflame. The western wave was all aflame means that it was the moment of sunset, and the sun is on the west in the sky. Therefore, around it, the sky around it is red. The western wave was all aflame. The day was well nigh done. Almost upon the western wave rested the broad, bright sun. When the strange shape drove suddenly betwixt us and the sun. So all of a sudden, the ship moves to the other side and it stands between sun and the ship and the other ship. And then a scenery is made, described in a wonderful way by Coleridge. And straight the sun was flecked with bars. Heaven's mother, send us grace. As if through a dungeon grate, he peered, he the sun, with broad and burning face. So it's like that these are the bars of a dungeon, and the dungeon, in the dungeon, there is fire, and the fire is trying to get out of the bars. Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud, how fast she nears and nears. Are those her sails that glance in the sun like restless gossamers? Nothing is normal about the ship. Gossamer means the cobwebs, and here the ship's sails are like cobwebs. So the ship doesn't have an even uh, a normal type of a sail. And now the crew of the ship, and those her ribs through which the sun hair the ships, and those her ribs through which the sun did peer, as through a grate. And is that woman all her crew? Is that a death, and are there two? Is death the woman's mate? So the ship has uh, two people on it. This one is death and a woman. The identity of the woman is not known at the moment in the poem, but anyway, the presence of the death on such a ship would not bring something good with it. And you can see in this painting what's happening next in the story. They throw dice. Her lips were red, her looks were free, her locks were yellow as gold. Her skin was white as leprosy. Leprosy is a kind of disease. In this, it's a disease of the skin, and the skin of the people gets whiter than normal. In this disease, her skin was as white as leprosy. The nightmare, life and death was she, with 6 men's blood with cold. So it's life and death, or it can make the woman can make people dead men walking. And there's something about the depiction and the Coleridge's descriptive words and adjectives used about this woman. Her lips were red lips, or her looks were free, her locks were yellow as gold. All of them are the characteristics of women, of prostitutes, actually, of the time. So Coleridge has got inspired with the image of prostitute women of his time um, to create the character of life and death in this poem. And this is Gustave Doré's presentation of the scene as they are throwing dice. This is life and death, and this is death, and the cobwebs as sails on the ship. The naked hulk, the naked hulk, the ship. The naked hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. The game is done. I won, I won, quoth she, and whistles thrice. So, life and death wins the game. Let's see what she wins actually. Oh, she wins the ship. The sun's rim dips, so there's no sun. The stars rush out. All of a sudden, there are no stars in the sky. At one stride comes the dark, with far-heard whisper over the sea, offshot the spectre bark. And the bark suddenly got invisible. It disappears. And now we have the crew of the ship now spelled with life and death. We listened and looked sideways up, fear at my heart, as at a cup my lifeblood seemed to sip. Did they hear Coleridge depict beer metaphorically in a very admirable manner? The stars were dim and thick the night. The steersman's face by his lamp gleamed white. From the sail the dew did drip here. To come above the eastern bar, the horned moon. From the east, the moon comes, the horned moon, with one bright star within the nether or the lower tip. This, according to the views of the mariners at the time of the story, maybe the Middle Ages, was a sign and a symbol of bad omen. And when the moon in a hornet shape had a star beneath it, 4 times 50 living men. 4 times 50 means 200, 200 men. 4 times 50 living men, and I heard nor sigh nor groan. With heavy thumb, a lifeless lamb, they dropped down one by one. They suddenly uh, suddenly drop down, so they become lifeless like this. The souls did from their bodies fly. They fled to bless or vow, and every soul it passed me by. He could see the movement of the souls like the whiz of my crossbow. So this is the result of what he had done. He's punished for that, and he can hear the whiz of his crossbow for 200 times. So one by one, the souls pass in front of his eyes. And here the third part of the poem ends. Let's see what's going to happen in the fourth part. Thank you for listening.